It's the Green Rush Nation podcast. I just had the bluest dream that you've ever seen, and I can't believe that shit was green, cause it hit so clean, and my history is a mystery. I don't give a fuck, I just hit the tree on the 5th degree. We don't pit for free. If you don't got 5 shit, get up and leave. It's the Green Rush Nation podcast. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy B-Gunz here on the Green Rush Nation podcast. Today, we have another legend in the building, someone who's been in the game for over 10 years, our friend Jonah from Legacy Kush. How's it going?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We appreciate you coming out. I know the travels weren't the closest, but hey, for something like this, you get to tell your story. I think it's worth it.
Absolutely.
For sure. So here we do it a little different. You know, we don't want to just know about everything you've done in the business, but we want to know about your experience with cannabis in general. So do you remember well, first of all, tell the people where you're from, and do you remember the first encounter you ever had, like with marijuana, getting high, or story? I want to hear it.
Yeah. So born and raised in Orange County. I do remember the first time I ever got high. It was middle to end of senior year of high school.
Okay.
Hanging out with my Mormon friend, and he's about to leave on his mission trip.
That's not something you hear every day.
I know. And so I would not have smoked weed without him. He had picked it up senior year before leaving on his mission, and now he obviously does not smoke anymore. But yeah, just went over to another buddy's house in the backyard. I actually fainted.
No shit.
Because I was taking way too many bong rips. I didn't feel it. He's like, keep taking rips.
Fuck,
And
so
then
you just went straight into ripping the bong.
Correct. And
God,
then I literally fainted. And then I spent the next like 2 hours in a chair, barely be able to open my eyes and stuff.
Okay.
And then after that, food was great.
Yep.
Music was amazing.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a kind of crazy first experience with cannabis.
Okay. And was this something that like shied you away at first? Were you scared of it?
I was a little bit scared, but then I started to do more research on the medical side of cannabis, and that's what really got me passionate about it.
Of course.
I got a job in the industry, working at a dispensary. I was one of the first male bud tenders at the store that I started at.
Okay. And was this like your first job?
No, I've been working since I was 15 and a half, but first job in the industry.
God bless. Well, let me hear about what was your first job when you were 15? Because not many people start working that young. So what were you doing?
I was working at a snack bar.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah, my soccer coach, he had bought a snack bar at one of like the main parks in Fountain Valley, and he hired all like my teammates and stuff
dope.
to run it on the weekends. So going to school.
Shout out to that coach, man. That probably gave you guys really good work ethic at a very young age. So that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dope. All right, so yeah, back into the dispensary, your first dispensary you worked at.
Yeah, so I actually started as the receptionist,
okay.
And then within 2 months, I was the first male bud tender. It was trap days. I feel like most of the shops around back then were just hot girls,
yeah,
to be frank.
And when was this? Was this like 10 years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2015.
2015, okay, yeah.
But I started doing my research on cannabis and like all the potential medical benefits out of it. And I went really deep into it. I took a cannabis course online, started learning like every part of the industry.
Where did you take a cannabis course?
I forget the name of the online school.
And what was it though?
It basically, there was like it was an 8-part thing. So learning how to grow, how to set up a grow op, how to run a dispensary, different parts of cannabis, all the cannabinoids, learn the difference in indica sativa hybrid. And it basically covered it all.
That's fucking dope,
so,
man. Hell yeah. And how long did that take?
I probably knocked it out in 2 months.
Really?
So. Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, I was full into it.
Wow, dude. So. See, that puts it into perspective for like a trade as well. You know, you can't even fucking finish a trade school in 2 months. You know?
Yeah.
So God bless. That's a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, over the past 10 years, I've continued to learn more.
Of course.
I didn't learn everything in 2 months, but I was able to
get the basics.
Yeah, get the course finished.
I feel like in this industry, you're never going to stop learning, especially how fast it changes, bro. Like, I learn every day, something new every day.
Yeah, they keep finding new cannabinoids and everything. So
new cannabinoids, new ways to smoke, fucking new ways to ingest it, like just crazy shit. But that's definitely interesting to me. But yeah, go ahead, keep going.
So, yeah, My favorite thing and what really got me passionate about cannabis is when I was being a bud tender and having like an older lady or somebody with cancer come in and they're like, hey, my doctor couldn't recommend cannabis, but they kind of
Told
like,
me
hey,
to go.
go
Yeah.
check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And having those customers come in or patients come in, and I would just talk to them, be like, hey, what are you dealing with? What can I help you if you're dealing with pain or if you're dealing with appetite, you need to boost your appetite. And I just love giving them my opinions. I'll be like, give them 6 different options. Be like, hey, I recommend this for that, yada, yada. But then having those people come back and be like, this worked amazing.
Yeah.
That just filled my heart.
For sure.
Like it's almost, I felt like a doctor almost.
Yeah.
Like, which is crazy.
And technically you are, because this is a medicine, like you said. And people don't look at it in a way. And I saw something funny today. There was a clip. It said, nowadays, we call things that are drugs medicine and things that are medicine drugs, you know? So that's kind of funny. So you are kind of like a doctor, you know? They had a symptom. You knew what they needed to fulfill that symptom, and it worked. So that really should be a good feeling.
Yeah, and it's not a there's not one answer. Everybody's body is extremely different.
Of course.
So
Of course.
the way your body reacts to cannabis or different drugs, of course, it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's been a really cool experience getting to see how different tinctures or topicals affect people differently.
Definitely. Definitely. And the CBD side of things too, obviously, since you said like the topicals, I know the lotions are huge for people that are like having pain and stuff like that. So, man, it's just a whole bunch of different things that go into it. What was your like, did you learn this more on the cultivation side, like when you were learning about like the strains and stuff, or did you just learn it as like you just researched everything?
Kind of researched everything. So I did learn some on the cultivation side. When I was first starting to smoke, I was all into the different strains. I'm a sativa smoker myself, and I like being able to, when I would smoke certain strains, some are a clear-headed sativa, some are more hazy. Indica affects me pretty hard. So like indica, couch. That's, I like being active and stuff. So sativas are definitely where it's at.
For sure.
And that's when I started just trying out all these different strains and figuring out what works best for me, because what works for me doesn't work for everybody else either. But
it's true.
Yeah.
See, and even stuff like that, when you can recommend someone a strain, like you just said, oh, you want to be energetic and go have fun, here, do this. And then they come back, hey, I had a great time. Like, that's still a good feeling, you know?
Absolutely.
And I feel like a lot of people are not knowledgeable enough. So like when you go into a place and have someone like you who's extensive, now they can actually learn from it and benefit from it in a right way, instead of just like, oh, you want to get high? Yeah, this has 40% THC. Fucking smoke this, you know? Like, that's not how it should be.
No, and THC percentages, and like people put too much emphasis on THC percentage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for the highest, over 30, over 35.
Literally.
Honestly, some of the best strains I've had is just 21% THC.
Yeah.
But the terpene content is what distinguishes all the different highs you can get from the cannabis.
Yeah,
So-
no, and there's so many different terpene things. Crazy thing to me now is how they're able to extract the terpenes, and fucking they're saying they're putting it in like food flavoring, and it's not getting you high. You just get the flavor.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's cool. And do you use it for medical benefits?
Yeah, I definitely love the topicals. Playing sports my whole life.
What sports?
Main sport was soccer, but I played college football. I was a kicker.
Hey, God bless.
And then hockey and baseball. I played
Hell
quite
yeah.
a few, but
All American.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Dope. Hell yeah. And growing up in Orange County, did you always know you were like wanting to be in cannabis?
No, so I grew up extremely Christian.
Okay.
That's why I didn't smoke until after I was 18.
Okay.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And that also plays a factor in how I became so passionate about cannabis. Like kind of the way I grew up, my parents, like for an example, if you have a headache, they're so quick to just give you Advil or Tylenol, whatever it is. And then I started learning more about cannabis and different things and just being more open-minded. And if you have a headache, how about you determine other factors? Have you eaten today? Have you drinking water? There's so many other things that just my family was so quick to go straight into
Medicine.
the big pharma. But there's much better ways to go about that
100%.
that are less addictive.
And it's funny that you say that, because now, like, I very rarely get headaches. And if I do, that's the first thing I do. I'm like, all right, have I eaten today? Have I slept? You know, like, what's going on? I very rarely turn to drugs, per se, if I have to, because, like, to me, I feel like it's just not worth it. You know, even if I'm sick, if I get a little cold, if I could ride it out with taking nothing, I'll take nothing.
Absolutely.
You know? But if I really, really need it, then of course I'll give in. But
yeah, a lot of those types of drugs, they just actually create more inflammation in your body,
Yeah.
which inflammation is the root of all disease and
Literally.
pain. And THC is so good for fighting inflammation.
Yeah.
So even people that aren't trying to get high, I recommend topicals with THC and with other cannabinoids besides CBD.
Yeah.
Because topicals won't get you high, but THC is the #1 cannabinoid for fighting inflammation.
Okay. And what is the safest way to ingest? Obviously, edibles or something like that, but smoking wise, what's the safest way to ingest marijuana, in your opinion?
I'd say vaporizing it.
Okay, so like a volcano?
Yeah, like an
Okay.
herbal vaporizer.
Yep.
I don't think like the typical vapes, like the oils, are
That's
going to be
definitely not the safest way.
definitely not. You're just you're turning that into a vapor, and that's going to be locked in your
Yeah.
lungs. I've taken plenty of dabs, and
Yep.
you could feel it.
Yeah.
So
That's for damn sure. So long term, I've been smoking for shit. I was a late bloomer like you. I started when I was 19 years old. So I've been smoking for a long time now. I don't feel like it affects my lungs negatively, honestly. Especially since I take a lot of bong rips. I feel like if anything, it's increased my lung capacity. You know, is that a true thing, or am I just tripping out?
I'd say that's true to an extent. So anytime you're burning any sort of plant material, it's not going to be good. But
Okay.
it's definitely not as bad as like tobacco is.
Gotcha.
But I do see what you're saying on increasing that lung capacity because
Mhm.
your lungs are a muscle.
Yeah.
So if you're working them out and taking big rips,
Yep.
you're working out that muscle.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. And the reason I asked this stuff is because, like, obviously you just said THC is great for inflammation. So if I'm ingesting THC every day, technically the inflammation should be pretty controlled, you know?
I'm not a doctor, but yes, I would agree with that.
But that's why. But sometimes I think about it and I'm like, damn, it is bad for you. But then I look at people like Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa, and like they're healthy generally. You know, I don't hear anything bad, and they smoke blunts and joint like. So I'm like, damn, if I like rip bongs and try to stay as clean as possible with what I'm smoking, I think long term I'll be okay.
Yeah, depending on how clean like a flush after during the growing process, and there's
course.
no pesticides, different things like that.
Absolutely.
Of course,
I mean, that of course, like that goes without saying. But shit, man. I'm from New York, so I've had a lot of not so great things. So living here now, I'm glad that I have full control of what I ingest now. You know, I kind of had to get what I got last time, but now that I'm here, it's ripe for the picking. You know, there's a lot. It's very fruitful. Now you said you've been working with a dispensary. Is it the same dispensary you've been working with from the jump?
the same family
Okay.
that I've been working with.
Okay.
So we opened the license shop 3 years ago, and then they put me in charge of purchasing and general manager and different things on that front. So
Beautiful.
basically running all aspects of the licensed dispensary.
Okay, damn. So I'm sure you learned a lot. What has been like one of the biggest obstacles you'd say in your journey so far?
Well, I know that one of the biggest obstacles right now is on the license side, the taxes. And it just got passed that the excise tax in California is going to be raised from 15 to 19%, which
Yep.
we're already overtaxed.
Terrible.
Since it's not federally legal still, there's no business write-offs.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's crazy that cannabis is still Schedule 1, which means no medical benefits and high risk for addiction.
Yeah.
So
Just like meth and fucking anything else that's out there.
I think meth is even Schedule 2, or
Really?
cocaine is Schedule 2, I think.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's even crazier. Yeah, it's definitely not fair, especially now that I've been doing like just more paying attention to what's going on with the laws. It's clear that they don't want to hear what we have to say either, you know, because we've been in the courts and they do whatever they want. And so I'm like, God damn, I think we're going to have to take this fight to social media, you know, so that they really hear our voice. And hopefully some change can come, because it's just a shame. It really is a shame.
Yeah, I think there's some big players like Big Pharma and other people that have ulterior motives. That's why it's still Schedule 1. That's the only thing I could think about.
For sure.
Is the
Lobbyists,
reasoning.
people
Yeah.
getting paid and shit, obviously. But we just need to come together as like, bro, this is a plant that helps people, and you can benefit it. You can benefit from it as well. There's a ton of money to be made. Just like your pockets are getting lined, work it out. Work out a deal, you know? But I feel like we're getting closer to that. We're getting closer.
We are getting closer, other than that they're continuing to raise taxes. I feel like in California, they're kind of incentivizing people to just stay on the black market.
Exactly.
Or
Exactly.
yeah.
But to a point, it's like, it's not sustainable. You know, if you keep raising taxes, it's going to collapse. So something needs to change. And hopefully that's the federal level. Because once it's federal, boom, now it's a level playing field.
Yeah, even just rescheduling it.
Yeah. That would be huge. Definitely huge. Fuck, bro. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It definitely shouldn't be a Schedule 1 drug. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about working in dispensary or marijuana?
I think the community. There's a great community in cannabis. So yeah, I'd say that's my favorite part for sure.
Huge.
And helping people, of course. That's what got me into it and passionate about it. But
beautiful. We need people that really care about it and care about helping people as well. How involved are you in the community? Do you guys do like events and stuff?
I attend a lot of events as a retail. It's hard to like host your own events. We already have so many other expenses. To putting money towards an event wouldn't be optimal.
Of course.
But I attend a lot of the trade shows. Like Kiva's having one pretty soon. I've gone to the one in Ventura and stuff, Hall of Flowers. So
okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
And how important do you think those events are for networking?
Huge for networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And man, I've recently experienced a couple of huge ones, and you don't realize who's there. The owners of the brands are right next to you. So if you're not hip to who they are, like, you might miss out on your opportunities. That's why my suggestion is always go with someone who's hip. You know, like, oh, hey, that's that guy. Go talk to him. Hey, you should probably go talk to that guy. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as a retail, that's huge to connect with those brands, with the owners and stuff. We're all in it together.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we're selling to the customers, but the brands are also trying to get their product in the customer's hands. So it is a good relation. It needs to be a good relationship.
Absolutely.
It's not an industry where you want to burn bridges at all.
That's for damn sure. It's small, and I'm realizing that. I'm kind of brand new. We've been running this for about 6 months now, and I've just been meeting a lot of people. And now I'm realizing that everybody knows everybody in this industry. So if you have a good name, you're good. If you don't have a good name, you're not so good. So it's just interesting. But that goes back to the community, bro. And I feel like the community here is so strong that that's why you have to be good on your work, because that's all we got, bro. And there's a lot of money to be had, but right now, like you said, with taxes and everything, it's scarce, bro. So I feel like this is going to be the real test. Whoever lasts through this phase, that's it, bro. These are the real people. These are the ones that are going to be here for the next 5, 10, 20 years. But it's easy to fall through the cracks, you know?
Yeah.
And right now, this industry, fuck, man, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Absolutely. I saw a metric last week that said it was projected that 30 to 40% of all cannabis businesses, either retail or brands, are going to go under in 2025.
Holy shit.
And this tax increase is
that's scary,
only going to
bro.
up that a little bit.
That's scary. That's right now.
Yeah.
We're living in it. This is present time.
Mm-hmm.
So shit, that's what it's looking like right now. Where do you see yourself and the whole industry going in 5, 10 years?
I mean, I would like for it to be rescheduled, as we had just talked about.
Okay.
I think that would be huge. For myself, I'm super passionate about it, so I'm not trying to leave the cannabis industry.
Okay.
But if it becomes unsustainable, I have to survive, you know, and that's kind of where everybody's at, I feel.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, no. Do you ever see yourself not being in cannabis?
Potentially.
Yeah,
okay. I mean, it just depends on where it goes, you know.
Gotcha.
I've learned a lot about business. Like, I didn't get a degree in business or anything, but after running a business for 3 years now, I've learned quite a bit on that front and what it takes to run a successful business and spending money properly.
Absolutely. There's definitely, you got to allocate the funds correctly, or else shit will hit the fan real quick. How many locations do you guys have?
Just one.
Just the one, okay.
Yeah.
So that's great. You guys can put all your focus and all your attention on that one. How was 420 this year for you guys? Was it a good turnout?
Good turnout. We reached like 470 customers.
That's
So our
great.
average right now is around like 280, 290.
That's fucking awesome.
It wasn't as good as last year. I think with it being on a Sunday this year, Easter Sunday,
Yeah.
it was a little bit slower. We did run deals all weekend, so it was over 450 each Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Gotcha.
So,
Do you feel like business is better in Orange? You guys are in Orange County, right? And do you feel like it's better in Orange County than it is in LA?
I would say so because I think the black market's a little bit heavier in LA.
Yes, for
There
sure.
is still that market in OC, but LA, OC, and San Diego are such different markets.
Super different.
Like with the brands that shops are carrying and different things.
Yeah.
So
They got to cater to the customer, you know? So it's cool. It's cool to see that, though, because now you can go take a ride and check out the vibes, you know? And it's going to be a different vibe everywhere you go. But I've still yet to be up to the Bay Area. I got to make my way up that way. I haven't seen the scene. But shit. What is some of your... Are you going to attend any events soon yourself?
yeah. So next week there's an event in LA for Kiva
Okay.
Sales and Service. So
Okay.
they're hosting an event. I'm probably gonna attend that. And then I think there's the Network Trade Show coming up as well.
I've heard of that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a good group. And yeah, so probably attend both of those. But
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, when you go to these events, is there like a strategy? Do you go with a plan, like how you're going to move around for the day, or do you just wing it?
I tend to just wing it.
Okay.
I do look at who's going to be there beforehand, and I'll make a list of, I want to make sure I check out this. But I try to go to every booth.
Of
I try
course.
to just feel out everybody. Because
I'm still new to it, so it's for me. I'm getting used to stopping at every booth because like these events, like I'm new to going to the event, so like for me, at first it was overwhelming just because there's so much going on, but then just like to catch like your eye of everything, you know, like it's like you're having too much fun to sit there and be like, oh yeah, shit, I gotta go fucking talk to every single one of these people.
Yeah, even if it's a brand I've talked to like a year or two ago and it wasn't selling well in my store, I'll go and talk to them again because I always want to keep my options open
For sure.
and keep that relationship there. So
For sure. What advice do you have for brands who are trying to get into a retail?
I would say do your research on the market and what retail stores you're trying to get into. Some brands try to go too big too quick and try to be in every store, and then it's unsustainable on that front.
Yeah.
So
How many stores is too many stores, do you think, for a brand?
it really just depends on your capabilities of production.
Okay.
So I can't put an actual
If you
number
can
on
keep
it.
up with demand,
but
yeah, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Shit. Is there any advice you have for someone like yourself that wants to get into the industry to help people? Where should they start? What would be a good starting point?
I mean, it really just depends on what you're good at. You can get in with a brand. You can become a sales rep or a brand ambassador is a really easy way to get in.
Okay.
I think that's probably the best, and you'll get the most knowledge.
And now, what does a brand ambassador do exactly for a cannabis company?
For the most part, they just help out the sales rep. So they'll stop by the store. They'll do the PADs, patient appreciation days,
Okay.
stop in, and just getting the word out about that brand and trying to. It's basically a starter level of sales rep.
I was going to say, is that the best way to get your foot in the door? Because I'll be honest, I tried to get in the cannabis industry before now. And applying to those bud tender jobs and delivery jobs even was not easy. Like, I didn't even get called back. And I have a good resume. So I was like, what the fuck? But I had no cannabis background, you know?
Yeah, I think for being a bud tender and stuff, you're going to be taking a pay cut unless you just start when you're young getting into it, because a lot of dispensaries, they have a very high turnover of bud tenders.
Yeah.
They're just paying them minimum wage, and then they make tips, of course. But starting as a BA, I think, would be a little bit easier, and then you're a step above.
Interesting. And what kind of pay does that look like at first? Is that more like an internship kind of deal, or?
So every brand is different. I think a lot of like sales reps, they make commission.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily just salary.
Gotcha.
But the BAs, I believe it's mostly salary.
So-
I have not worked for a specific brand. I've just been on the retail side for
I
a
see
while.
what you're saying.
So-
Okay. Okay, cool. And is it important for those brands to get in stores to do the PDAs?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think depending on the store setup and how the store likes to run things, and also how the brand is going to offer different deals, it can be beneficial. But in general, a lot of the PADs don't help with sales too much unless there's already an aggressive deal getting ran as well.
Okay.
On top of it, and it really just depends on the BA. I've had some BAs that come into the store that aren't interacting with the customers. They're just sitting there on their phone and they're not being active.
I see. I've seen that before too. Yeah, no, it really does depend on the person, because if you're super active, people are going to want to come over and see what you got going on. But if you're just staring there, shit, you're not going to sell anything, you know? You'll be lucky if they know your brand and like, oh, you got a deal on those today? Cool, let me get one.
Exactly.
But,
a lot of the customers already know. They come into the store knowing what they're going to get. Like, just like going to a grocery store. I already got my list of what I'm going to get. So,
it's hard to be convinced otherwise.
Yeah.
Unless you got a good person.
Yeah, exactly.
How active are you guys on social media?
So we aren't super active. We actually just started a new account because we had a couple like Instagram pages that got shut down.
Okay.
So we are getting back into that, but Instagram is not a fan of cannabis.
I'm aware. I'm well aware.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, I'm not, my personal page is not cannabis at all, but since my face is all over cannabis, I guess I'm shadow banned as well. Obviously, how important, it's very important, but how important do you think it is as a dispensary to be active on social media?
I've seen some businesses that are very active and it is beneficial for them. I think it just depends on the location, what your customer base is already like. There's other ways to get people's attention, like other marketing ways, sending out emails or texts or whatever it is.
Okay.
That tends to be a little bit more useful than being active as a retail on Instagram or other platforms.
Gotcha.
Because, it varies, I'd say.
For sure. See, but it's interesting because something like this could be great, you know, because now people, they could feel more connected to you because now they go home, they're smoking the weed. Oh, shit. My guy Jonah was on a podcast. Let me see what he had to say. And then boom, now they can feel more connected to you as a shop, you know? So I feel like that's a good way to gain like fans, loyal fans, now opposed to there's 5-6 shops around you. You're the only shop who was active about sharing your story and trying to help the people. Now the people want to help you. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really cool. Personally, I think social media is really important, obviously. And just to market anything. But so you think data is more important? Emails, phone numbers?
For most retails, yes.
Okay.
But I actually did get into the media side of cannabis. Okay. I had a YouTube channel.
I was going to say, you were telling me about that earlier. Tell us a little bit about it. What was your YouTube channel about?
Yeah, so our YouTube channel was a Stoner Van. That was the name of it.
Sick. Was it a podcast?
No, we basically just did videos. So we started out doing like a lot of reviews of products. So that's also another way that somebody can get into it.
I like that.
Is starting just because it forces you, or not forces you, but you have the ability to just test out all these things, and you are building your knowledge based on your own experiences of smoking different strains and stuff. So we basically made a lot of videos about testing out products, testing out brands, testing out different strains, taking a gram dab, different things like that, just to get attention.
That's cool.
Yeah, we actually stopped doing that because we got 2 strikes on YouTube.
Oh, so damn. Okay. So yeah, platforms like YouTube and Instagram, it's tough. But where do you see yourself ever maybe going on like something like Twitch and then starting a platform there?
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's real cool to see everything that's going on. We actually just had Koala Puffs on. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she is a huge streamer now. And her advice was something that stuck with me because I was asking her about like when you're building a brand, even if it's just a brand in the cannabis industry, what should you do? And she's like, be everywhere, be on all platforms, because if one day your main following's on Instagram, boom, you don't have an Instagram anymore. Now no one knows where to find you. They don't know where you're at. So she's like, build up all these other things like Twitch and YouTube, and so that your community just can find you wherever you're at. It doesn't matter. So that gives you the power instead of giving the platform the power. And I was like, damn, that is some great advice right there. Mm-hmm. And the more I think about it, the more it just makes sense, bro, because this space is so new. There's no point in like doing anything set in stone. So if you could do your trial and error and just set up a camera and stream that shit, and then boom, now you can go clip it up and post it on all the platforms. Sounds like a hell of a thing to do.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not good to be locked down with one platform for sure.
Yep. So is there anything that you want to say to your customers?
Yeah, check out our new website. We just got a new website built. We're working on getting more SEO and stuff. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the website URL?
LegacyKush.com.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful. And is it just like a more user-friendly layout?
Much more user-friendly. We got to kind of control all aspects of it, so we got to design it ourselves, whereas our previous website was just straight from our point of sale.
Okay.
So just basically link back to we use Dutchie as a point of sale. So
nice, very nice.
Yeah.
And do you guys deliver?
We don't deliver.
Okay.
We had the capability, and the initial plan when we opened was to start doing delivery. But I think setting up a delivery business is it's hard to make money.
Yeah.
So there's two different models: the ice cream truck or pizza delivery. So one being you place an order and then they send those out in a route. The other one, all the products already in a van, and then they can go different spots. So,
I see.
Most of the deliveries that are actually are making money are more ice cream truck. They already have all the products. It's a smaller catalog of products, but
they're on demand.
On demand, yeah, as opposed to packing each individual order, then sending out a driver, having drivers sit around.
Yeah.
There's a lot more expenses that go into that style. So
for sure. Do you guys run like weekly deals, daily deals, monthly deals? How do you guys work it over there?
I do all of the above. So one of our best deals, we've been doing it for probably over a year now. The 10th of every month, we do dime BOGO. Buy one, get one for $1.
Beautiful.
So that got a lot of traction. After the first 3 months, it continues to be one of our biggest days.
Okay.
But other brands I do once a week deals, like every Friday we're doing a deal or something. It kind of varies brand to brand and month to month depending on what they're able to support, because we
promos, PDAs, yep.
Yeah, we can't eat all that. So Dime has been great. They fully cover the BOGO, so I send the sales report after.
Beautiful.
They cover it.
That's beautiful.
But
that's a beautiful thing. And the customers really do appreciate that, because you can go to these stores all the time. If no one's rewarding you for coming in, it's like, what's the point, No, that's really, really cool. So what has been some of your hottest items like selling? Is it edibles, pre-rolls?
I'd say vapes have been huge. Vapes and flower tend to be the two biggest categories for most retail. I'm working on trying to be a little bit more flower heavy.
Okay.
Vapes and flower. So
now back to 3 years ago, was it vapes?
It still was vapes.
Really?
So
when was that change?
Well, it still is vapes. I've just broadened our selection of flower to really entice some of the high-end flower buyers to take up more of our sales. But yeah,
I'm just asking because I do a lot of articles now, and they say some of the hottest selling items are pre-rolls and edibles. But obviously vapes are always going to be number one, just because they're so easily to smoke. You can smoke them anywhere, Fucking A, I got one right here in my pocket. Pull that shit out, rip it. Don't smell too bad.
Absolutely. Pre-rolls have definitely been picking up, but I think in general, as like a percentage of your total sales, pre-rolls and edibles tend to be cheaper than flower and vapes, so that's why that's a higher percentage of total sales.
Gotcha.
But the pre-rolls have definitely been picking up in sales. It's the convenience factor.
Of course.
Not everybody knows how to roll a joint anymore.
Yeah.
Or have a bong, and it just being able to carry a pre-roll around in your pocket to a show or wherever you're going.
Yeah.
That convenience factor is there, but it has been interesting seeing the edible market broaden the number of customers that are out there. There's a lot of people that like the gummies for sleep.
Yeah.
So
I mean, edibles have definitely gained popularity. I feel like now with the lower dosage, they're less intimidating. You have 5 milligrams, take it, you'll be fine. It's cool. It's cool to see because now like people like your mom and your grandma can just go pop an edible and not be ashamed. I'm not smoking. Like, shut up.
Yeah, there's not as much stigma around a lot of the edibles.
Yep, for sure. So is there anything else that you would want the public to know? Anything you need to get off your chest? How long did it take you to grow that mustache, by the way? I got to ask.
It grows pretty quick. I end up trimming it like every couple months or so. Probably every to 10 months, I just cut it off completely and then restart again.
So how long does it take for it to like?
This is probably 6 months,
Okay.
8 months.
God bless.
Right
I don't have patience for that with the mustache, bro. I can never. Just because as soon as it hangs over the lip a little bit, I'm like, cut it off.
Yeah, I constantly have to like trim the bottom and stuff because it is annoying. Yeah.
Dope. But yeah, so what do you want the people to know?
Go out, support local dispensaries, support the brands that are in those local dispensaries. And I know the black market can be cheaper for people, but at least with the legal market, everything's tested, everything's verified, so you know what you're going to get. You can go and look at the COAs and see all the testing and make sure that you're actually getting clean product.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are starting to fall back onto the black market, or I have a guy that can get me some dank for.
You always got a guy, but is your guy going to be able to explain to you in depth, like my friend Jonah can, and tell you what you can take for your pain or your nausea, sleeping? Someone like this is someone you want to talk to. You don't want to talk to someone on the street. No offense to anyone. Get your money, God bless. But there's just a way to do it in peace of mind, and I feel like that's the peace of mind way to do it.
Yeah, and a lot of dispensaries, as I mentioned earlier, 30 to 40% are projected to close down.
And that's a shame. So go out and support your local dispensary, man. Come on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We can't let these guys die out here. These are our friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where can the people find you?
LegacyKush.com. I also have my own Instagram, Jonah and the Whale 96.
Sick.
But
hell yeah. Any big events you got coming up in the near future that maybe you want to tell the people about this summer?
Yeah, I mean 710's coming up. We just passed 420, but 710, I constantly got deals going at Legacy Kush. So
beautiful.
Yeah, check out the website. We have the list of the deals there on the website. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I appreciate you coming out and sharing your knowledge and your story. This is a platform for people like you because I feel like there's not enough of these out here. I personally was never able to go and find just stories on the cannabis industry too much in general. So it's really, really cool. So thank you for that, brother. And shit. Well, that's it for today's podcast. You'll see us on Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, wherever you can find it. But tell your mother, your brother, tell your sister, your mistress, whoever. Even if you don't smoke, we have great stories. So tune in. We'll see you next time.
I just had the bluest dream that you've ever seen, and I can't believe that shit was green, cause it hit so clean, and my history is a mystery. I don't give a fuck, I just hit the tree on a 5th degree. We don't pit for free. If you don't got 5 shit, get up and leave.